right? Like, why would I go see this guy to ask for help? I don't need help. I'll just work harder, longer, and sacrifice my whole life and not see my
here's
kids.
the thing. Here's the thing. You know how to do that. You know, that's one thing you know how to do, right? Is to put in more hours.
Of course. Because that's what you've done for the last
right,
30 years.
Like, I can fucking
if
do
I
that.
work harder, I'll get more.
Until right now, this very moment, contractors have always been on their own, not as tradespeople, but being alone and knowing how to take their business to the next level. They call us working class, they call us blue collar. They say that we don't have the smarts to become the business owner that we're meant to be. That is such bullshit. You have the ability. You're more than any of that. The question really is, where do you get the insights that you need specific to contracting to systemize your business so you can get your profits to pay for your freedom? I'm Andrew Houston. I'm going to show you how to make more profits, how to get more control, how to get more freedom in the simplest, quickest way possible without any of that bullshit. Welcome to the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. Listen up, level up, and if you learn something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, change your business, change your life.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the No Bullshit Podcast, where it doesn't smell like shit. There is no shit. It's all real. And we're going to get into going deep with Peter McGrath in how we're going to touch on how he increased his profits. Yeah, we're going to touch on how he was able to, diversify, get more focused, things of that nature, financials. Yeah, for sure. But we're also going to talk about the impact from a personal perspective, like approaching things differently and things of that nature. I know I talk a lot about profits and cash flow and marketing, all that kind of stuff, getting your profits to pay for your freedom. But a big part of having success, and we'll get into this, Peter, right, is you as a person. Is and that everybody listening in, and then I'm going to segue into it, is if you've always felt like, man, I'm not the leader that I needed to be, I'm going to tell you right now, you can become that. You can become the leader that you need to be, because it's just a matter of making the right changes and, one step at a time, right? We have to change. So enough. Okay, without further ado, Mr. McGrath, welcome, brother.
Thank you very much.
How are we doing today?
Doing fantastic.
How's the Coke?
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, nice Coke. Okay. It's the new Coke. So let's get into this. So we've known each other for how long?
I think it's we're going on 4 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah,
somewhere in that area.
Years, yeah, met at a suppliers event, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, anybody listening in on this, Peter and his son did an amazing podcast with me virtually. We've changed up the setting here a little bit and make it more interactive. We're trying to do the 18 foot distance with the COVID, which seriously, everybody, that's a serious situation. But anyway, so Peter, let's talk about where were things at, when we first met.
So we had made some very big changes with the company. A lot of our employees were paid commission. We went hourly. Changed that all over, and we were struggling because although we changed our compensation, the guys were still of the mindset that they were on commission, and they were able to, with commission came a little bit more freedom, let's say, to be able to do whatever they wanted to do. So when we went hourly, we had to trim back or readjust or refocus on how we were going to be spending our time, become more efficient with our time, and there was just a lot of there was a lot of issues that we were having, financial issues where we were losing a lot of money. Guys were going to suppliers all the time, and we needed to find ways to become more efficient and just restructure the complete company, right? So it was just changing everything about the company. So when we did that, it was the right move for us. It helped the company a lot, but I needed a different perspective. I needed somebody the outside of the company to sort of look into the company and let me know where, and I always say it's like I needed you to look at, and find all the leaks in my bucket, right? So I had my financial bucket, right, and my financial bucket was full of water, but it was leaking out everywhere. There was holes everywhere. And so I needed somebody outside of the company looking in that was going to be honest with me and truthful with me and right to the point. And I deal with stuff very well My personality is, if you tell me to do something, and I'll do it. That's it. But I need somebody that's going to be able to tell me, because I also have a strong personality, and maybe sometimes people
What?
maybe sometimes people they just tell me what they think they should tell me rather than what they need to tell me, right? So I needed to find somebody that could do that. So when my service manager told me you're going to do the event in Ottawa, I went, and I liked what I heard, and that was the beginning
Cool,
of it.
man.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've been in business for how long now? You and Tina? Husband and wife?
Yeah, husband and
dynamics?
wife. We started off just myself, and in I think it was '99 we started. No, I'm sorry, it was '91. '91 we started. It was just myself, and we bought Rooter in '99.
So franchise.
The franchise, yeah.
Right.
So started off just myself and working. All day, all night. Never really saw my kids grow up. And never had any money in the bank, right? And I can't tell you how many times Tina asked me to sell the company, go and work for somebody else, many, many times. 99 came around, the franchise was available, ended up getting the franchise, thought that was going to be the changing moment for me, because I felt that I either had to go back to school to learn how to run a business, or with the three kids at the time, I had to still work. So I thought the franchise would be the way to go. At that time, there wasn't business coaches and stuff like that was available. So I thought, well, instead of going to school and not working and not having any income, I bought the franchise. And the franchise was good. It took a little while for me to get going with it, but it proved to be good. And it got us, to where we wanted to be. But I wanted to continue. I wanted to continue growing. And
What got you to a certain level?
they got me to a certain level, yes. And then we sort of stalled. And we stalled there for a little while. And again, meeting up with you has helped me get to the next level, right? And so, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I love it. So a couple little points I want everybody listening on. I say this quite often, and I mean it. If you're listening in on this podcast and you're watching Peter and I, it is the No Bullshit podcast. I keep bringing that up because I think a lot of people talk bullshit. They promote something that's not, they overpromise, underdeliver. I want to make sure that we cover off some insights so all these listeners listening can take this stuff, run with it like fucking Robin Hood, and make things better, right? Like, honestly. And yes, to my marketing people, I'll stop hitting this table because the mics. But anyways, with that being said, you bring up a point, okay? And guys, when we do these podcasts, Peter doesn't even know what fucking point I'm going to bring up. Do you, Peter? No, it's like this crazy fucking guy drinking Coke. Okay. So if you're in business and you felt like you're not getting to where you want to go, that's normal. If you're in business and you've hit a certain level, like, oh man, I want to get here, and maybe you've gotten there, but then you're like, okay, now what? You're not alone. Okay. Here's one of the core problems. One of the core problems of business owners in the trades is not just a lack of knowledge of business, but very few people really understand the trades. And from a trades perspective, there's different levels, okay? And where do we come up with these levels? I came up with these fucking levels because I had to go through all this shit myself, okay? It's not running a business and getting a business just to pay for your profits. It's being able to know what those levels are, those 5 levels, and go, hey, I'm fucking here. And all you tradies listening in, Peter, you know what I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. We don't go to trade school and they don't go, okay, man, you're going to learn to be a plumber. You're going to learn to be an electrician. And there's just one level. No, man, there's fucking first term apprentice, second term apprentice, third. Like, guys, there's reasons for that. And that's how this came to my mind. It was like, all these books are like, oh, you gotta build this business that looks like this. I'm like, so you're gonna go from this point all the way over here? Yeah, fuck it. I tried that, didn't work. So back to your point. The franchise got you to a certain level, but and I want your comment on this. If a business owner doesn't know what the next level is, what's the problem with that, Peter?
Well, so for me, it stunted my growth.
Right.
You just plateau and that's it. You're not going, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, in my opinion, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? If
Totally.
you're not going up, you're going down.
Totally.
Right? So that's what ends up happening, right?
Right. And if you don't know what those different levels are, I think what starts to happen is you start working on shit. And this was one of the things with you. And I think a lot of people, because I think owners of contracting business, none of them, unless I'm missing something, want to fail. None of them want to work all these hours. I don't know, Peter, am I right?
No.
I didn't. I don't want to be away from my family. People are like, oh, like that guy, family members, Andrew doesn't want to be around his family. So what the fuck? What are you talking about, dude? I would rather be doing that than be on a service call at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. Mm-hmm. But I've got to take this thing because otherwise this business won't stay afloat, right?
Yeah, and that's how most people feel.
Right.
Almost everybody feels that way, right?
Totally. And I think the other thing that people have to understand is that, and I want you to elaborate on this, Peter, is like just being a good tradesperson, it actually is one of the biggest curses. Like being good at your trade is one of the biggest curses to becoming a business owner. Well, why do I say that?
Well, and I mean, I may not get this right, but as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the better you think you are in the trade, and you might be great at the trade, you don't feel that you need any of this stuff.
Yes.
You just feel that you can just keep plugging away and just working harder. And you've talked about this many times before, right? We're all of the mindset that if we put in more hours and we work harder, then everything's going to work out. And eventually, we're going to reach that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And then at that time, we'll be able to spend all that time, the quality time with our family. And the problem with that is that the quality time needs to be spent now. Right now, when the kids are young, now when you got to spend it with your wife, because you don't know what's going to happen in a day from now, 2 days from now, 3 days from now, and so that's the thing that we miss as good tradespeople is we just think just work harder, plug harder, just a little bit more, and soon 20 years goes by, a blink of an eye, and then you realize all that quality time that's 20 years ago, right? That's when you should have been with your kids and stuff like that. So, in a lot of cases we get tunnel vision. And we just can't stop it. We just keep rocking and rolling, and then we find ourselves at the end looking back.
It's true. And you know what? Back to my point is, and to move on from this is, your level of awareness as an owner listening in is directly proportionate to where the holes in your business are. Not just holes, what's working, what's not working. If your awareness, though, is at a first-term apprentice, like, guys, everybody listening in that it's a tradesperson, you're going to get this one. If your awareness is at a first-term apprentice level, okay, you're not even fucking licensed. You guys all know. And for those of you that don't have to get a license, you get the point, right? There's low-level skill set, medium, then there's fucking mastering it, right? And most owners have the mastery part. Because they look at these owners and like, you guys are fucking idiots. You don't know how to order material. You don't even know what fucking material. You don't know how to do the installation. You don't even know how to quote the job. You don't. And in a lot of cases, they're right. Because that now to be business owner is so good that he sees all these fucking holes, okay? That's such a small slice, right? But your level of awareness is so important because you can't be a first-term apprentice and solve licensed, let alone fifth term, fourth term, third term, second term, problems. Because you don't even know what the fucking problem is. Now, you can put in extra time, but you're not going to solve the problem. That's the same thing with business. So you need to know what level you're at. Are you like in the terms of your first term, second term, what have you? So I think that's one of the biggest things that when you and I sat down, when we went through that Contractors Ladder of Success, you were like, holy shit, I'm right here. And I remember you getting irritated by that. I'll say why, and then you can elaborate. Peter was like, how can I be at startup if I've been in fucking business for this long? And startup, by the way, guys, is at the base level. It's making sure the guys are doing everything the way, delivering to the customer consistently. Making sure that the fucking guys are efficient. Making sure that the guys are fucking, you quote 18 hours and this much material. They don't do fucking 23 hours and 20% more material and go, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what happened, Okay, but Peter, let's talk about that for a second. Like,
Shut the fuck up, Andrew.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break, and here's a message from Andrew's team.
Hey, Jimmy! What? No. That's all right. Get better. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, Romeo, my man. Right, yeah. You're at that funeral. Sorry to hear about your cat, man. What was his name again? Felix? Hey, Stu, thank God you picked up. I need you to come in for... Oh, yeah. Shit. Hey, Tyler. Hey, Phil. Danny. Hey, honey. Do you want to come and help me out at work tonight? Hey, you know the worst part about being a contractor? Setting up everything for a job and getting screwed over when your staff calls in sick at the last minute. Calls in sick. Suddenly, you've got to call everybody you know, and you're hoping, you're praying, you're begging someone can fill and help you out. Otherwise, you'll be staying back and working late again. Like if I had $1 for every employee who was unreliable, late, for work or slacked off at work, you know where I'm going with this, right? The fact is, you can't do everything yourself. You've got to get the right staff in order to grow your business. People who you can actually count on and who love working for you. But you just can't expect them to magically show up. You've got to go fishing for them. And just like fishing for mackerel, you need to find the right kind of lures, the right type of bait. And you need to know which lakes and rivers to go into. Do things in the right way and you're guaranteed to take home a winner. But if you're going to wing it instead, man, the only thing that you're going to catch is a cold. That's a fact. After helping over 6,000 contractors across every type of trade imaginable, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, sheet metal, renovation, you name it, I've discovered the SURFIRE method for finding, attracting, hiring, and keeping high-quality talent, no matter what season it is, peak, off-peak, summer, winter, whatever. I put everything I know inside a free guide for contractors only, okay? It's called the 7-Day System for Hiring Top Talent. Check it out in the link below, okay? Don't get screwed over by staff canceling on you last minute ever again, okay? Hire people who are a good fit for your business right from the very start, okay? Hit the link below, grab your free copy of the tool right now. I'll talk to you soon.
How is it that you were at that startup level? Now, you were able to get past that pretty quick. But how was it that you were still at startup, yet you'd been in business for how many years?
Well, I think, you don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
You think you're doing, the community doesn't, so the smaller community, like in Ottawa, let's say, like all the plumbers and stuff like that, and yes, you're in competition, but people are really concerned about sharing information or, sharing with each other or talking to each other or dealing with each other, right? And, you start up your business and the first thing you do is you just, you see what, your boss used to do and you see what your boss charged and you see how your boss worked and that's how you're going to do it. You're going to do it the exact same way because that's how the business is done. And very rarely does anybody sit there and actually think about, okay, well, am I actually doing the right thing? Because you see everybody else doing it, right? So the masses are doing it that way. That must be the way it's supposed to be done. And you just don't know any better. That's the way you do it. And then everybody scratches their head and wonders why it doesn't work. And everybody does, right? And then nobody reaches out of that comfort zone that they've made, whether it's comfortable or not. They just will not expand. They will not accept that there may be another way.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, there's a number of reasons.
Even when they know there's a better way, though. I mean,
they're in self-denial. They just cannot believe that it's been done this way for hundreds and hundreds of years. And then now somebody just shows up and, he's like, man, you can do it this way. Look I can show you. I can show you how to make a better cookie. I can show you how to make a better this or a better that. And all you have to do is tweak this, tweak that, do this, do that. And then they're in denial. Right? And sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can pick yourself up and go, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to listen to somebody else. I'm going to take a different spin on this, right? And I find that's in a lot of cases, that's what ends up happening. I mean, I did it. You have to almost get to a certain point where it's just like, okay, enough is enough. I got to do something different, right? Yeah. I've got to find somebody that can help me get beyond where I'm at. Because for me, the point of going to see you at that meeting, that first meeting where I was done. I was at rock bottom. I cannot continue this way. I need to find another way of dealing with this. I need somebody else to tell me how to do it. The other thing that I find that if somebody gets a little bit of a secret or they think they've got a little bit of an edge, they don't want to share that. They don't want to share any of that information, right? It's like when I got the franchise, I thought I had the magic recipe, right? And I had to hide everything and make sure I kept it all to myself. Not realizing that I could go ahead and share it with everybody, I could share it. And maybe one or two out of the people that I would share it to, a very small percentage, would actually grab a hold of it and do something with it. So once I realized that, it was like, listening to these guys like Tony Robbins or you, how many people go to the meetings and leave and actually do something, right? Totally. Not very many, right? So as far as it goes for me, I was at rock bottom. I needed somebody to help me get beyond where I was because it wasn't going anywhere, right? And so I had to expand my comfort zone. I had to ask for help. And for a lot of people, that's extremely uncomfortable. It's very humbling, right? Like, why would I go see this guy to ask for help? I don't need help. I'll just work harder, longer, and sacrifice my whole life and not see my
here's
kids.
Here's the thing. You know how to do that. That's one thing you know how to do, right? Is to put in more hours.
Of course. Because that's what you've done for the last
right,
30 years.
Like, I can fucking
if
do
I
that.
work harder, I'll get more.
Right.
That's just in the mind, right?
Totally.
Doesn't mean it's real.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's true. It's just that's what we were brought up with.
Totally. And I think, so there's a couple of things. I'm going to share something personal here is, for me, and it's totally in line with what you're saying. I didn't want to get caught being a bullshitter. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Everybody's like, what's that got to do with it? Well, you see, ask yourself this question if you're listening in. And Peter, I'll ask you this. When a fellow tradesperson would say, hey man, how's it going, Andrew? It was going shit. It was going brutal. And what do you think my response was? Oh, everything's good, man. Landed a big job. Yeah, we're busy. And close the truck door. That's bullshit. Complete fucking bullshit. I had no money in the bank. Right? Jen was like ready. She was fucking almost done with me. Because I kept on making all these bullshit promises. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Once I get this job done, once I quote this, I'm just going to put a little bit more time in as I miss this birthday and that birthday and late. My infamous thing with Jen, if you ask her, the thing that drove her nuts, late. Not by 5 minutes, hours. I'll be there. I just got one last thing to do, right? So there was years worth of bullshit. And I put this identity out there that I knew what the fuck I was doing. So for me, it was, as soon as I had to go, I don't know this stuff, I was opening up the door to go, hey everybody, I've been bullshitting all these years. And that was a big thing for me. That was a big thing. Because I had a lot of pride. Because I was good at what I fucking did. We built amazing automation lines. Like we really did, the customers fucking loved us, all this kind of stuff. One thing that I was fortunate to have was delivery mastery, I call it, right? We delivered a great product and service. But part of the reason for that, Peter, was because different than your service business, I would go build an automation line and I wouldn't be building 18 different automation lines. I'd be building like a $2-3 million freaking automation line. And I was on that job site. So that thing's going to get fucking built right. But I wasn't doing like 18 different service calls, right? So I had that luxury of, if I'm on that job site, that fucking pipe's going to be straight. That's going to be level. That's going to be like, but I had to be there all the time. So for me, it was the bullshit. It was like opening up Pandora's box of like everybody going, oh, Andrew's been uncovered. He's been bullshitting all of us, right?
Yeah.
Including my wife. Oh, I know what I'm doing. No, you fucking don't.
I found that with the franchise as well. We would go to yearly conventions and everybody would talk about how great it was. And Tina and I mean, we'd go to a hockey tournament for Curtis or Connor, and we'd end up having, all the families would go out for dinner and lunch and whatever in between the games, and we'd go back to the hotel room because we just stopped at the Metro or the Loblaws to get a loaf of bread and peanut butter. And we would just go back to the hotel room and we'd make sandwiches and give the kids little juice boxes because we didn't have any money. So we go to the conventions and everybody would be talking about how much money they're making. And for years, I thought, I obviously am not able to do what these guys are doing because they're making all this money. And I must be messing stuff up unbelievably, right? For years. And one day, Tina went to a convention with a guy by the name of Mike Cimitero, right? And this is one of the turning points in our lives because it really sticks in our minds. And we didn't have anything. We were, I can't tell you how many times we came close to losing the house and the business and losing everything, right? And so Tina goes to this convention and she can't, we don't even have the money to send her, right? We just beg, board, and and she goes to the convention and she goes to this meal, and there's this steakhouse in the States called Morton's, really nice steakhouse. And I mean, she goes in there and she's invited, and they invite her, all of my friends invite her over. She goes and she can't buy the meal, and Mike Cimitero graciously pays for her, and they start talking about financials and knowing your numbers, and this was the turning point. And this guy was this guy was definitely a D. Right, like he was right to the point. Like, don't waste my time talking to me if you're not going to listen to what, if you're not going to implement what I'm talking about. Don't bother. Don't
exactly.
Let's not even talk. Right, and that's how we talked to Tina.
Yeah.
And thank God he did, because that was the beginning of the change, and that's how we started putting money away. Like,
Yes.
and now that money has increased in value, and now we have a nest egg that we're able to lean on if times get tough. And if it wasn't for that man and our real estate and stuff like that, it's all because of Mike Cimitero and his conversation with Tina. So it was just little small increments. But just getting back to your point about the bullshit, there was a lot of bullshit when we'd go to these events, and
Yeah, totally.
it really changed my life when Tina went, and our lives, Tina and I both.
Well, here's the thing, right? There's a lot of people that put on this fucking, they want to, it's more important to them, right, to look good than actually be good.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And part of the reason, look, I'm not going to judge people here. There's lots of reasons for it. One thing is that you want to be surrounded by these people that are successful. So if that means, if the ticket to getting in the door of success is fake it until you make it success. Like, hey, yeah, I'm doing great. Okay, come on through the door. Hey, man, you got to fucking do what you got to do, okay? But deep down inside, right, if you're listening in, ask yourself, how long you've been bullshitting yourself, right? Like, honestly, right? So let's get into some other, like, areas. So one thing I want everybody listening in on is, a couple of little points, we're wrapping up this part of the section, is make sure that you have the right level of awareness. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to make the right decisions. And awareness is like a set of fucking lenses. It's like going to the optometrist. Like, replace the word glasses with awareness. Right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the right fucking lenses on, it doesn't matter how much you're trying to see. You're blinded, man. Like, or you can only see like 3 inches. And yet you're trying to fucking run a business and you need to see like 100 feet, right? You're in trouble, right? And then the other thing is, stop bullshitting, telling yourself the bullshit story, okay? This is not back in the 1930s, and back to your point, like, there wasn't business coaches around. Like, and guys, yes, great, buy our service, engage with us, raise your hand, just like Peter did, or not. But one thing that should not be acceptable to you listening on this is not raising your fucking hand, because it's a different world today, right? You can go on our website. Right, Peter, you can fucking download a whole bunch of these free tools, right? Like, you can figure out so much. You can go back to these past podcasts. This doesn't cost you listening in. But dude, guys, if you're listening in and you're not fucking doing something about this, you remember what I used to call this? Ignorance tax.
Okay. That's right.
Ignorance tax. Everybody's like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Ignorance tax, guys, is when you are aware that there's something better to make something better, and you decide not to do that thing to make things better, then whatever fucking you get, losing your home, losing your marriage, losing your profits, losing your fucking whatever, is a tax that you deserve because you're being ignorant. That's why I call it ignorance tax. I don't know. I don't know. Sounds good to me, right? Because it's different. If you don't have the awareness, then how would you fucking know? But if you're listening to this going, oh my God, I need to do that. Or the previous podcast, I need to do it. Then fucking do it. Because now you know, right? Okay, so next part is, now you hired other coaches and stuff.
Yeah.
Now look at these people. I think you were saying they were smart and things of that nature. But what was different?
So yeah, I've had 2 or 3 other coaches trying to find that magic, figure out what my issue is and stuff like that. And they were extremely smart individuals, very, very good. But they came at business more of on an intellectual level, right? Like university, and
Right.
they spoke like university professors and stuff like that. And not that I went to university, I watched TV shows and I saw the university professors and stuff. But anyways, so they would speak to me like they were, we're in a classroom in a university course or whatever, and a lot of the stuff just didn't resonate with me. It just didn't stick. I didn't really understand what they were talking about, and they were very regimented, right to the point, and they wouldn't really elaborate on stuff because to be honest, most of the guys in there understood it right away, like the guys that were there, right? So they
think
would pick
so?
up. Well, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but definitely
I call bullshit on that one.
But definitely I
okay,
did.
no, yeah, cool, yeah,
Right.
totally, yeah.
So, but definitely I didn't, and that wasn't because they weren't good teachers. That wasn't because they weren't smart. That was just because they weren't speaking to me in a way that I could comprehend, I could deal with, right? And so a lot of it, I mean, I took some good stuff out of it. I did get some stuff out of it, right?
sure,
but
man.
but it just, again, it didn't get me to where I needed to be. So I kept searching for that guy that or girl, whatever, teacher that could get me to the point where I needed, they got me the solutions that I was looking for.
Right. So when you look at, I remember you saying to me, Andrew, you understand my language. Like you understand, like you come from the same cloth of what I come from, but yeah, you know the shit that I need to learn. I think everybody listening in, again, there's certain areas here where I'm going to spend more time than others. This is one of the ones I'm not going to spend that much time, except to say, if you're getting help, first of all, good on you. Like, that's one of the biggest stepping points. Okay. Peter's case, it took several coaches, and like Peter said, smart people, he got something out of it. So his business changed, his life changed, okay? But not to the point that he wanted. But again, he raised his hand, he got help. That to me is one of the core, attributes, as Peter, to being a champion CEO. And not when people hear champion CEO, it's not just business, it's the champion CEO of your fucking life, okay? So, just to give you guys an example, if you're sitting down with somebody and somebody doesn't know what a takeoff is, if somebody does not know what job costing is, if somebody doesn't know what back costing is, I won't go even further, let alone fucking quoting a job. What do you mean quoting a job? What is that? Is that pricing a job? If they don't know that lingo, I'm going to tell you right now, they don't have the right level of awareness. Mark my words. If they don't know how to read a goddamn blueprint and they're trying to teach you how to quote a job and they're using textbook shit, they don't have a fucking clue. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Now, a lot of my buddies, God love them, great friends of mine. Most of my buddies, I've got two groups. I got the trade school guys, awesome guys, and then I got the guys that went to university and stuff like that. Jennifer, my wife, she went to university, so there was a whole group of people there. And smart, it's one thing being smart. It's another thing being able to take something and apply it. That to me is genius. Okay, there's a lot of knowledgeable people that live in fucking boxes asking for quarters on the corner. Right, Peter? High IQs, genius, like they're really, really smart people, but they can't apply it. Okay, so you want to work with people that know how to apply it, that have done quotes, that know what it's like to run a fucking job site, that know the effects of, oh, you mean you got to quote differently when there's snow? Yeah. What do you mean? But it says it doesn't have that in the book here. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, dude. Quoting in the summertime here in Canada or in the States versus goddamn snow and minus 30 below. Yeah, you're gonna have to look at things differently, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So that's that. So, main point on that is make sure you raise your hand for help and surround yourself with people that understand your field. Okay. And in this case, it's the trades. And I'm going to tell you that means fucking from an accountant, from a bookkeeper, from whatever. Okay. Because Peter, right? Drives me fucking nuts when I look at people's financials and I go, why is that expense down there? Oh, because the bookkeeper says it should be down there. No, that is not a fixed expense. That's a variable expense. What do you mean? Well, if you knew the trade, then that's in the wrong place, right?
Absolutely.